Joining me now is CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham. Eric, good morning to you. So we haven't heard a lot about the negotiations, but we now know our minister will be meeting with U.S. trade officials in Washington. What are you anticipating to hear?
I think what we're seeing here is there is still a very deep relationship between the United States and Canada. And while there doesn't appear to be a breakthrough in the near future, I think what we're seeing here is Canada attempting to just maintain a cordiality and keep those lines of communication open. Because, again, we're talking about companies on both sides of the border that have benefited from this seamless economic integration, but also stand to lose so much. And I think the fact that there are conversations that are still happening is a productive sign. And if, in fact, the president can find a way to actually move away from the disdain for Canada, I think that will be a boon not only to businesses, but also to consumers who, at least in the United States right now, are really beginning to feel the brunt and the pressure of Donald Trump's tariffs.
Do you think this is high priority for Donald Trump, reaching an agreement with Canada on tariffs?
Not at all. And we see that every day from the president. And also, I think it's becoming increasingly clear as we see Canada continue to move on from the United States, particularly with the story you just mentioned about its submarine procurement. You have to think that many of these massive defense companies in the United States are growing increasingly concerned about the potential loss of business from Canada. And I think this is where you're seeing these communications take place between trade ministers, but also the massive lobbying effort that we know many of these companies, at least on the U.S. side, are doing in an attempt to try to sway the White House, but quite frankly, it isn't working. All
right, I want to turn now to some sound that we heard from President Trump yesterday in the Oval Office. We're going to play that, and then I'm going to get your reaction on the other side. This is Trump talking about whether or not he's a dictator.
I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago is a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick.
All right, so Erica, this shocked a lot of people, this use of the word dictator, and a lot of people are pointing out, you know, the obvious, what's been happening with Trump deploying armed troops to certain cities, wanting to add to that list, firing people who disagree with him, reviewing and attacking museums. So do Americans want a dictator? I mean, why do you think he went there yesterday in the Oval?
Well, I think, again, you have to read into the things that Donald Trump says. And when he says that most people want a dictator, certainly they don't. But I think what you're seeing here is a president who, once again, is trying to shape the narrative through faulty information and infactual data to actually give him cover for what we know where he wants to go, which is in this more dictatorial bent. And while we know most red states and cities have higher crime rates than many of the cities that the president is attempting to take over, those red states and cities are already under Donald Trump's control, at least politically. Where he is having and seeing resistance is in places that are liberal and deeply blue: Los Angeles, California, Illinois, Chicago, Baltimore, Maryland. And so these are places where the president is now recognizing, at least, and in order to move these places to where he needs them to be, at least politically, he has to go in with his troops. And now we're seeing that the president is seriously considering going into Chicago, Illinois. And that's why you're hearing so much from both the mayor and the governor saying that the president and his federal law enforcement officials simply are not wanted or even welcome there.
Okay, and then my final point to you this morning, speaking of firing, Trump says that he's going to fire federal governor Lisa Cook. Can he do that? Why is he going after her?
Well, he's going after her much in the same way that he's gone after the Fed chair. Donald Trump, like everything else in the federal government, he wants to reshape and make that into his own image. Cook is someone who was appointed by Biden, and we know that he has been pushing the Fed to actually reduce interest rates, which they simply have not done, and Donald Trump has been going to war with them. Now we see that he is attempting to try to fire her using, again, information that is deeply questionable. Now it looks like there's going to be a massive standoff taking place because, of course, the Fed is an independent agency, and now the question becomes, how much leverage will he be given in order to actually remove her, even though her term is not yet up?
Eric Ham for us this morning. Eric, we covered a lot of ground there. Thanks so much. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.